Hello, Deck It Out DIYers. We are back for our tiered tray of the month for the month of March. So as you can see, we've got a lovely setup for St. Patrick's Day. You will have the projects that you see in front. So we're going to make a tag with the Feelin' Lucky. We have your garland, which is horseshoes and shamrocks. There will be a standalone hat. We have the loads of luck truck, and then there's little shamrocks that go on top. So make sure you see those little pieces. This is kind of one of those signs that goes in all the directions with the base. Then you will have end of the rainbow and the items. Now, one of these shamrocks will go up to this project. I just didn't take it out. It was easier to keep this all together, so you kept all these pieces. And then this one, same thing. It was easier just to keep it all together. And this is your shamrock. Shake your shamrock, or shake your shamrocks sign. Okay, so these are all the pieces that you will have in your tiered tray. If you're new to us, we'll include a stand. But if you've been with us, you'll have a lot of stands from prior projects. So let's get started. I'll walk you through how to paint some of them, then we'll paint, and then we'll assemble at the end of the video. Okay, we're going to get started, and I'm going to paint the Loads of Luck truck. So keep this tape handy, because you're going to put the small pieces on the tape so it holds it down while you paint, and we'll talk about that. These larger pieces, sometimes I just stick them to the tape just so I have all my project pieces together. You'll have your truck, and then you'll have your shiplap back. A couple of things. I encourage you to paint the base white of almost everything if you want the color to stand out a little bit more vibrant. In this situation, I am going to paint this black. White. So that's why I'm grabbing white first. One thing you'll notice is that I'm taking my paint, I'm dabbing it in my paint, and I'm pulling some of my paint off the edge so that I don't have a ton of paint. And we're going to do a lot of dabbing. However, when you're painting a background like this, you can just pull the paint across the board. And I like to pull so I flick it off the edge kind of. The edges are burnt because it's cut on a laser. And so I try not to get a ton of paint on the edge. If I get paint on the edge, sometimes I'll use a baby wipe to wipe it off. Sometimes if I can't, I will just maybe paint black over it if I want that clean edge look. Sometimes I don't even notice it until I have it displayed, and then it's not a problem. So one little tip for this, paint it as you see fit. And then if you have a cute toothpick or an X-Acto knife, you can run that down the lines just to make them more defined. Okay, so there's my backer. Next up, I'm going to paint the truck, and I'm going to paint it this the light green color that we have. And so the same idea, load it with paint, okay, and then dab it off so there's not a lot of paint. And then just dab. And I'm actually going to cover the entire truck in green. And then I will come back and I will cover up the tires. I'll paint those black. And I might add some white detail to the lights and the mirrors, the rear view mirrors, or the side mirrors, I should say. So I'll come back and do that, but not a lot of paint because you still want to see those lines. That's what gives the truck its shape. And if you do too much paint, it will fill in those lines. But again, you can just take your X-Acto knife and you can run it through all those lines to make them more defined. Something to note, you have a bumper that's going to be placed here. And then this piece is going to go right here. So you might have noticed that I kind of filled in those lines. Well, this one is getting glued at the top of right under the window. So that's okay. So I'm gonna paint these ones next. So there's my truck. We're going to follow the same process for painting these. And I'm going to do these a gray. You don't have gray in your kit, but I'm just going to mix black and white on the side here to make a little bit of a gray for me, because I do want some gray. And then I'll come back and paint the wheels black, and I'll just keep going. So just when you're doing these pieces, you're just lightly dabbing with not too much paint. You're keeping it on the tape so that you can hold the tape down and not get too much paint on your fingers. And for the shamrocks, you could totally paint each individual shamrock different with different shades of green. You have 2 shades of green, and then you have white. So you could really get some fun colors created. I'm gonna do these smaller ones a lighter green because they're gonna get glued on top of the darker ones. And then I'm going to do this license plate white. And for the license plate, not too much paint, so there's a lot of paint on there. You can still see the words loads of luck, and then I'll come in with my X-Acto knife and kind of clean those out. And then if you have like a detail, a small detail marker or a Sharpie, you could also fill the lines in with that fine tip. Okay, so my first project is all painted, so I'm going to set that aside. And that's why I also like the tape, because I can just move projects over without too much of a worry. Like I mentioned earlier, when you paint some of the projects, I'm going to remind you again to put down white first to make the gold, for surely the gold, the yellowish gold, pop. So I'm just gonna take this piece of tape that I have. If you have extra painter's tape at home, grab it because it's just so helpful. I'm gonna paint these white, and then I'm going to paint the gold over the top. And you don't need to do too much white. Notice that I loaded my sponge, unloaded my sponge, and I'm just dabbing. If you get too much paint on your sponge, it's going to drip between all the detail pieces. Okay, this is going to be the garland that goes around one of the tiers of your tray. So we do include the twine for you to do that as well. So here's my base coat, and then I will come back and I will do the gold. Okay, so now I've kind of given you a quick overview of things. I'm just going to start with the rest of the projects. So every time you pick up a project to paint in your kit, keep the tape, because it's nice to use the tape for the smaller pieces like Shake and Your. This piece is not needed, so you can throw that away. And just put your pieces down on tape. Let me move this out of the way a little bit. And then go ahead and paint. And then when we're all done, we'll come back together and we will glue it and assemble all of our pieces. Okay, so happy painting. Okay, all of our pieces are painted. So now what you're going to do is you're going to start assembling. What I always encourage the DIYers to do is to take your project and lay it out before you glue, just to make sure you have all the pieces, because there's a few pieces in the kit, to make sure you like the colors, because it's not too late to change colors. It's just paint you can paint right over. So for those 2 reasons, I encourage you to lay out all of your pieces on each project before you paint it. And just double check that you have everything and that you like the colors. And then once you do that, you're gonna just grab your little bottle of glue, and you don't need a crazy amount of glue. Okay, so you're just gonna use your little bottle of glue, and I think I'm gonna put this on last. You'll just grab your letter, and I just kind of just do a couple dabs of glue. Because it is super glue, it will also glue your fingers together or glue your fingers to your project. So just be aware and careful for that. And like I said, I just kind of do a little bit of glue, not a crazy amount, and stick them down. And you'll do this for the entire project. So now you're just going to put everything together, and those lines are there to kind of help you so that you don't have to do a lot of thinking of, oh, is it lined up? Did I put it in the right place? So they're really helpful. So continue doing this, and then we'll chat at the very end once we have all of our pieces assembled. Happy gluing! All right, Deck It Out DIYers, there are your tiered tray projects for the month of March. You have your street sign. I chose to kind of zigzag them and kind of make them off balance, but again, this is your project, so I can't wait to see what you do with it. For this one, I think it would be really cool to do red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, light purple, or kind of blend them across like an ombre maybe. But we didn't include all those colors in our kit, so I did not want to paint it that way. But wouldn't that be fun to maybe do white letters and then do the rainbow colors across? That would be really cool. Shake your shamrocks, the hat, your loads of luck truck, the feeling lucky, and then your garland, so, or your banner. So in your kit, you'll have your twine. You can take your twine and loop that through, and then we will give you a thicker jute for this, and then you'll have a little tag. Super fun this month. I hope you love this kit, and it will decorate your house well. Drop into our Facebook group, Deck It Out DIYers, to see other creations that people have made with us, to get color inspiration, to ask questions, to check out what's coming up in boxes, because we like to do behind the scenes in there as well as on our page. Thanks for joining us this month, and we'll see you soon.